Hi everyone, welcome back to the Art of Business English. This is Andrew Ambrosius, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the second part of the series, which looks at specific forms after verbs. Now, if you heard last week's episode, we looked at infinitives and gerund forms after certain verbs. Okay, so in today's episode we're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to look at objects and infinitives with or without the infinitive to after specific verb forms. Okay, so as many of you know, mastering these verbs will make you sound much more fluent, and we do use them a lot in our daily English. Specifically, there are some structures which native Spanish speakers do have some problems with, and I'm going to look at that in detail as we look at this episode, because I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. Okay, so today, as I said, I've divided the episode into two parts. Okay, so first we'll look at the verbs which are followed by an object and an infinitive with to. Okay, and in the later part of the episode, we'll look at verbs that are followed by an object and a bare infinitive. For those of you who don't know what a bare infinitive is, it is basically a verb in its infinitive form without to. Okay, so it's important to note that this is not the same as the imperative. Okay, remember that the imperative is the verb on its own without to, and it's spoken at the beginning of a sentence with some force, like listen. So they do look the same, but they're not the same. All right. So therefore, in today's episode, you will be learning the following: verbs which are typically followed by an object and infinitive, verbs which are typically followed by an object and a bare infinitive, and some common expressions used in everyday business English that follow these structures. Okay, so let's get started and take a look at verb plus object plus to infinitive. So firstly, let's be sure to clarify what I mean by an object. Okay, so when we refer to an object in English, when using this type of structure, we are referring to object pronouns. Okay, so object pronouns are different from subject pronouns. Subject pronouns are the subjects that start sentences, whereas object pronouns occur after verbs and prepositions in English. Okay, so again, in English also, this is a little bit easier than in Spanish, as in Spanish we have direct and indirect object pronouns. So I'm going to compare the two, but I'm not going to go into much detail about the Spanish side of things. I'm just going to focus mainly on the English. So obviously, your subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Okay, and in Spanish you got yo, tú, él, ella. It is para animales y cosas. Nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, ellos y ellas. Okay, now this is where things may get a little bit more complicated. In English, the object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. Okay, so that's basically direct and indirect pronouns in Spanish would be me, te, le, la, lo, nos, os, los, les, las. Okay. Also important to note that in English, the pronouns come after verbs and prepositions, whereas in Spanish, this is not the case. In Spanish, you've got two forms. You can say, for example, me puedes ayudar, or you can say, puedes ayudarme. Okay. The first structure in English doesn't work. Okay, you can't say me, can you help? Okay, because this me has to come after the verb or preposition. So it always has to be, can you help me? So help is the verb, me is the pronoun that comes after it. Okay, so it's important to note. So let's look then, now that we have clear what these objects are, let's take a look at some of the verbs that use this structure, verb plus object plus to infinitive. Okay, so the first one is would like, me gustaría, gustaría. Urge, which is urgir. Allow, okay, permitir. cause, causar or provocar. Convince, convencer. Expect, esperar. Instruct, instruir or enseñar. Order, which is pedir, okay. Want, querer. Persuade, okay, which is convencer. Ask, which is pedir. Choose, escoger. Enable, enable is habilitar. Force, force is forzar or obligar. Invite, invitar. Require, requerir. Warn, avisar. Threaten, amenazar. Advise, advise is aconsejar. Beg, rogar. Command, comandar. Encourage, animar. Hire is contratar. Hire is dar. Need, necesitar. Tell, decir. And wish, which is un desear. Okay, so those are typical verbs which are followed by an object plus a to infinitive. So now here is the interesting part and the major lesson for Spanish speakers. Okay, this is the most common error seen with these verb patterns. Okay, so now's time to take note. The most common mistakes occur with verbs such as need and want. Okay, why is this? Well, from my experience in Spanish, you would use the subjunctive form structure, okay, and it's important to note that that the subjunctive forms don't exist in English. So let me demonstrate by giving you guys a little example. So the following structures are often translated incorrectly. I see this all the time, and it's really simple to fix. Okay, so the example is quiero que me hagas un favor. All right. So the incorrect translation for quiero que me hagas un favor would be I want that you do me a favor. Okay, I hear that all the time. I want that you do me a favor. It's quite a literal translation. But the correct structure is I want you, object, to do, infinitive, me a favor. I want you to do me a favor. So you can see it's different from I want that you do me a favor. All right. Another one with need. This is very common too. Necesito que me arregles este problema enseguida. Okay. So the incorrect translation for this would be I need that you fix me this problem straight away. Okay, I need that you fix me this problem straight away. Again, a very literal translation. The correct structure is I need you, object, to fix, infinitive, this problem for me straight away. So I need you to fix this problem for me straight away. Okay? So let's take a look at some other example sentences of the verbs that we've just reviewed. Okay? So I would like you to prepare a quick report on this. I urge them to come to a quick decision. He allowed them to work from home. She asked him to arrange a meeting. The boss forced us to work late on a Friday afternoon. Can you tell him to come to my office right away? So, one last point. These structures are also commonly used in the passive form, okay? So the passive voice form. So let's review these examples. The board of directors were warned by the financial team that the company was in economic difficulty. We were encouraged to accept the company's proposal, okay? So, again, commonly used with the passive voice, the voz pasiva, okay? Okay, that's pretty much all for object plus infinitive with to. let's turn to the second part of the episode now, and we'll look at objects which are followed by bare infinitives. Remember, bare infinitives is the infinitive without to. So, firstly, many verbs that are followed by an object and a bare infinitive are typically related to perception, all right? For example, see or hear or notice. However, this is not a fixed rule, and as such, some common verbs follow this structure, such as make. Okay, so make is a verb we use all the time. So let's review the list. Feel, hear, help, let. Remember, let is permitir. Make, notice, see, and watch. Watch is mirar. All right. So make and let are always followed by an object and a bare infinitive. Okay. Let's look at some examples. They made us talk to the clients while they prepared the meeting room. They made us, object, talk to the clients while they prepared the meeting room. So they made us is the object, and talk is the verb without to. Our boss lets us leave work early on a Friday afternoon. So our boss lets us is the object, and leave is the verb marchar without to. So our boss lets us leave work early on a Friday afternoon. So note when we use the verb make, okay, in the passive voice, we use it with the infinitive in to. Okay, so it's important. So if it's a passive, then make is with to. I was made to handle all customer complaints within 2 hours. I was made to handle all customer complaints within 2 hours. So here it's a passive, and we're using the infinitive. Finally, help can be followed by an infinitive with or without to. Okay, so it's important to note that if we follow help with an infinitive or without an infinitive with to or without to, the meaning is the same and they both work. Okay, so for example, the course helped the new employees learn how to use the computer system. So that's learn without to. The course helped the new employees to learn how to use the computer system. So in the second one, you can see we are using learn in the infinitive with to. Okay, and they're both perfectly acceptable, and they both sound correct. Okay. So now that we have that clear, let's finish up today's episode by looking at a list of example sentences and with these structures in use. Okay, so let's begin. I've just given you a few examples here. The first one is require. Okay, the company requires all staff to change their password once a month. So here the object is all staff. Okay, it's not a pronoun. I'm using all staff. So the company requires all staff to change their password once a month. Hire. So the next one is hire, contratar. We hired him to develop the new e-learning platform. So here I'm using the pronoun him and then the infinitive to develop. Next one is need. I need you to prepare a staff memo. So I'm using the pronoun you and then the infinitive to prepare. Okay. Remember, need is commonly confused with this subjunctive structure. Okay. So it's not I need that you, it's I need you. All right. Beg, rogar. Charles begged his boss to reconsider his promotion. Okay. So here the pronoun or the object, is his boss. Okay. And then the infinitive to reconsider. Next one is want. Remember, want is also commonly confused with the subjunctive structure in Spanish. So I want you, pronoun here, the object pronoun is you. I want you to consider, infinitive to consider, the problems that could arise from this decision. So I want you to consider the problems that could arise from this decision. The next one is one of perception. So here, remember, if it's perception, then it's followed by an infinitive without to. So I heard him call in on the conference call. So heard plus him is the object, and call is without to. Okay. Make, remember, make is always with an object and a bare infinitive. I'll make you stay back until we find a solution. I'll make you is the object, stay back is the phrasal verb without to, until we find a solution. Okay. And finally, watch. So I watched him leave the building. Him is the object and leave is the bare infinitive of the verb marchar. Okay? So that's pretty much it. Again, this is part 2 of a 2-part series. And what are my final thoughts? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think the most important takeaway from this episode is the need to form the correct structure with verbs such as want, need, and make, okay, because they're very commonly used, okay, and they're very commonly used incorrectly, okay. So make sure that you review this list, okay. You can review the list on the AOBE website and take some study notes. Remember that, as always, practice makes perfect, and the best way to internalize this information is to start using this structure. And my recommendation is to use it in your written communication, okay? If you start using it in your emails, it'll be great. It'll help you to internalize the information. And as a study suggestion, I encourage you to print the sample sentences, okay, or create some of your own and have them with you at your PC when you're writing your next email, and just start to use them in your writing, okay? And that's pretty much all I have for you today. But we hope that you found this episode useful and informative. Please, as always, share this post or like us on Facebook. Okay, that's the best way that we can reach more people and help more people with their English. And as always, if you do have any questions or comments, then don't hesitate to contact us at theartofbusinessenglish.com, or you can comment on this post, or you can find us at our Facebook page, facebook.com/theaobe. And until next week, I hope you have a great day and a great week, and I look forward to hosting you again soon. Take care now. Bye.